Hey you, and welcome to lesson 30, and this is our final lesson in this intermediate course. Today we are going to talk about let, make, and allow. We will also talk about US English versus UK English, and we will talk about in the end and at the end what are the differences and how to use them correctly. So let's get to it. Welcome to lesson 30. Today we will be talking about let, make, and allow. We will be using those to give permissions or to talk about obligations. So let's take a look. Make plus the object and the bare infinitive or the zero infinitive, which is the very base form of the verb. We use this to say what a person obliges another person to do. Okay, it means you tell the other person that this is his duty, that he's got to do this, right? So let's take a look. She makes me study a lot. It means she obliges me to study a lot. In the past, she made me study a lot. Now let's take a look at let. For let, we talk about permission. It's the same structure, let plus object plus zero infinitive, or the base form of the verb. We use to talk about giving permission. We use this to talk about giving permission. I will let you go tonight. I'll let you go tonight. I mean, I give you permission. I'm allowing you to go tonight. In the past, I'll let you go out tonight. So instead of using will, I will let you go out tonight, we say, I'll let you go out. I'll let you go out that night. Sorry, not tonight. I'll let you go out that night, because we're talking in the past. All right, the third one is be allowed plus to plus infinitive. The third kind. To say what you can and can't do. We aren't allowed to smoke in the office. We are allowed to smoke in the office. So to talk about what you are and you are not supposed to do, what you can and cannot do. In the past, we were allowed to smoke in the office, or we were not allowed to smoke in the office. Okay, now let's take a look at UK English versus US English. Let's take a look at these sentences. Shall I open the door for you? He's taking a shower. France have won the World Cup. The main differences between, okay, so what do you think these sentences are, American or British? Let's take a look. So the main, where are you? Here. The main difference between British English and American English is a pronunciation. Some words are also different in each variety of English, and there are also few differences in the way they use grammar. Okay, so there are basically the main difference between English and British is the accent, is the pronunciation, right? British sounds old-fashioned, American sound cool. You know, you can't deny that. That's the truth. Now, there are still some differences in grammar, okay? So let's take a look at this. Present perfect and past simple. In British English, people use the present perfect to speak about the past action that they consider relevant to the past. Perfect to speak about past action that they consider relevant to the past. The present perfect can be used in the same way in American English. So something that happened in the past that is relevant to now is also used in the same way in American English, but people also use the past simple when they consider the action finished, okay? So we use the present perfect to talk about action in the past that are relevant now. We also use the past simple to talk about actions in the past that are considered to be finished. This is especially common in the adverbs already, just, and yet. All right, let's take a look. So normally in British English, when you have already, yet, or just, you would already, just, already, just, and yet, you would use the present perfect. In American English, you could use the past simple with those. Let's take a look. He isn't hungry. He has already had lunch. Have you done your homework yet? I have just finished. Now, American English, this is considered acceptable. He is hungry. He already had lunch. And instead of he has already had lunch, you say he already had lunch. In this case, have you done your homework yet? Did you do your homework yet? Yes, I've just finished it. Yes, I just finished it without the have. Okay, so this is acceptable in American English. Now, got and gotten. Now, British, in the past participle, get is got. American is gotten. That's why it's so confusing when, for Americans, when they read English books and they see have with got, it's a little bit confusing because, we used to say have with gotten. Have gotten, I've gotten this, I've gotten that, not I have got this or I have got that. So it sounds just a bit weird, but I mean, you get used to it. British English, the past participle of the verb get is got. American English, people say gotten. So British English, you could have got hurt. American English, you could have gotten hurt. You could have gotten hurt. She got very thin. She's gotten very thin. She has got serious about her career. She's gotten serious about her career. I mean, gotten makes more sense, to be honest. Gotten is just more sense. Get, got, gotten. That's how it's supposed to be. It's just weird to say it got in the past participle. All right, but have you got any money? Have you got any money? Not have you gotten any money. All right? Because here we're talking about possession. We've got to go now. We have got to go now. Not we have gotten to go now. Because that just sounds weird. All right, let's talk about more differences in English, American versus British. Verb forms with collective nouns. In British English, a singular or plural verb can be used with a noun that refers to a group of people or things. Okay, so collective nouns, like, if you're talking about a team or the population or a country, like the population of a country like France, it's a collective noun. It's a noun that consists of more than one person or more than one thing. Okay, but because, so in British English, they treat that as plural, but in American English, it's singular. It's supposed to be singular. It's one unit. So I think American English is more accurate here and more correct grammar-wise. So let's see. My family are visiting from Pakistan. So in British English, they use my family is visiting from Pakistan, which is perfectly correct grammar talk. But I mean, to say my family are visiting from Pakistan is just weird. Okay, in British English is correct, but in American English, we only say is. My family is, because it's one collective noun. It's one family. Yes, it is a collective noun, but it's still one family. You're not talking about 3 or 4 families. 4 families are visiting from Pakistan. Yes, that would make sense. But my family, just one family, is visiting. So yeah, that is one of the main differences between British and American English. British, for all collective noun, my team, the crew, the police. Well, the police is the same. The police, even in American, the police are. But for the rest, my family, my team, the crew, you can use is and are in British English. In American English, you only use is, right? Which is more correct in my view. Now, the police, we use the police with are for both American and British English. Okay, another difference about British and American English is have and take. With British English, they use have or take to talk about bath, shower, wash, or break, holiday, and rest. In American English, only take is used. Let's take a look. I'm going to have or take a shower. Let's have a break or let's take a break. In American English, I'm going to take a shower. Let's take a break. And next one is shall. In British English, People often use shall to offer something, or shall we, shall I, to make a suggestion. So shall I and shall we to offer or make suggestions. It is very unusual for speakers of American English to use shall. They normally use alternative like should, I, can. I completely disagree with this, but I mean that is what the study says, but I don't completely agree with it. American use shall just as well. So let's take a look. Here it says, it's not, oh, it's hot here. Shall I open the window? It's hot in here. Can I open the window? Yes, Americans do tend to say can more, but they also use shall. Shall we meet in the cafe at 5? Do you want to meet in the cafe at 5? Shall we try that again? How about we try that again? Okay, so in all fairness, Americans use shall just as much, but it's true, can and how about are more common. All right, now let's take a look at two yet another confusing expressions for people, and they always get them mixed up, and that is at the end and in the end. Now, at the end and in the end, though they sound similar, they mean they use differently. All right, let's find out today how to use these correctly. So, first one, at the end, it means end of something. At the time when something ends. This is at the end. This is when something ends at that time. You say at the end. For example, at the end of the month, at the end of the film. That's another difference. Film. We don't in America. Film is movie. Okay, at the end of the movie. It even sounds easier. At the end of the movie. Instead of the end of the film. Film. It just. I don't know. Maybe I'm not biased. All right. Anyways, at the end of the film. At the end of January, at the end of the game, I'm going away at the end of the month, at the end of the concert. So when something ends, or at the time something ends. Now, if we say in the end, now in the end, it's different, okay? Because in the end, it means finally. Okay, so basically in the end it means finally. So you don't say in the end of the month, because what does that even mean? Finally, the month? That doesn't make sense. So at the end of the month indicates that the end of something, the end of a period or the end of something. But in the end, not at, that means finally. Let's take a look. We had a lot of problems with our car. We sold it in the end. Like finally we sold it. In the end, we sold it. We got more and more, he got more and more angry. In the end, he just walked out of the room. Okay? Finally, he walked out of the room. It would be more suitable here to say stormed out of the room, because when you're angry, you don't just walk out of the room. You're like, storm out of the room. Storm out of the room. Like, you aggressively leave the room and you slam the door. Right. Don't do that if the door is glass. Then, Okay. He got more and more angry and stormed out of the room. Alan couldn't decide where to go for his holidays. He didn't go anywhere in the end. Okay, so in the end means finally. At the end, it means at the time when something ends. All right, so keep that in mind. The opposite of in the end is at first, okay? So instead of saying in the end he left the room, at first he looked who's in the room. Or at first we didn't get along very well, but in the end we became good friends. So at first is the opposite of in the end, while at the end, the opposite of at the end is at the beginning. Right? So at the end, the opposite of at the end, at the beginning. At the beginning of the movie, at the end of the movie. At the beginning of the month, at the end of the month. And then you have in the end is at first. At first, in the end. At first, in the end. At first, in the end. Or in the beginning, at the end. Okay? So let's take a look at some idioms. Have no business. Now, what does that mean? Have no business. If you have no business, it means you shouldn't be doing this. Okay, it's none of you. It's another way of saying none of your business. You have no business being here. You have no business asking me. It doesn't concern you. It doesn't concern you. To insert yourself in a situation that has nothing to do with you, or to have no right to be somewhere. Let's take a look at some examples. You have no business discussing my personal life with your friends. Okay, you should read this when you're angry, because this whole thing, have no business. This is an angry expression. You don't say this if you're friendly with someone. You say this if you're mad at someone. You have no business discussing my personal life with your friends. Or, after all of the mistakes that you have made, you have no business getting involved in my problems. All right, you have to mean it when you say it. You don't say, that's none of your business. You don't say it like that. It won't mean much. You might as well just give him a flower. You have to mean it. Say it like you mean it. This is an angry expression, so you have to be angry when you say it. All right. You have no business telling my boss that I was late to work, you snitch. All right, snitch is a good word that means, whoops, what am I doing? Okay, hold on. Snitch, where's the eraser thing? Okay, snitch is a good word that means if you tell on someone. Another word of saying snitch is a tattletale, or someone, when you were in class as a kid, there is this student in every class that as soon as a teacher walks in, he would be like tattletaling and telling on everybody and like, oh, he threw a paper and he did this and he jumped on the chair and he yelled at this and he said a bad word. Those kids, we call them snitches when you grow up. Okay, those are snitches. So if you say, you have no business telling my boss that I was late to work, that means you're a snitch. You're snitching on your friends. You're telling your boss that your friends are late, or your colleagues, or the people you work with are late. That is not cool, man. Don't do that. Okay, next one. You have no business walking around this neighborhood at night. I'm phoning the police. That's another snitch. You have no business coming to my office. We'll deal with this situation when I get home. This is probably a personal matter that shouldn't be brought to the office in the first place. All right, now let's see the next idiom, and that is high roller. To be a high roller, it means you're very rich. You're a high roller. A wealthy person or a company who spends their money in risky ways, often by making risky investments that can offer a large reward. All right, often someone who gambles with large amount of money. Another term for high rollers is someone who, high rollers, they gamble with a lot of money and they take a lot of risks. Someone who spends their money on extravagances. It means on things they don't need, that things they just, very expensive. All right, let's take a look at a sentence example. I would never invest my money in their company. They are high rollers and I can't afford that kind of risk. The only way to make large sums of money is to make risky investments. That's so not true. You need to be a high roller in order to afford that. If you are a high roller, casinos will often let you stay in their hotel for free. This is true. They do that in Vegas all the time. Those high rollers, people who gamble like crazy, probably lose a ton of money. They don't even need to pay for hotels. Everything is free on the hotel. Just come here, waste your money, and everything is on us. All right, next example is slow day. Slow day, it means a day which is a boring day. Not much is happening, okay? A day in which not much happens, it feels like it's taking a very long time to pass. We've all been there. We've all done that. We've all experienced these days. There's just days that the time seems to freeze and it's just not ending and it's too long, right? Let's take a look at some examples. The shop did not, okay, also, this means if you're not, a day in which less is expected has been done. Or if you can say a slow day, if you have a business that's not it didn't do well that day. Didn't have clients, no income on that day. She said it's a slow day. Not much business has been done, right? So the shop didn't make a lot of money today. We had a slow day. Very few people came into the restaurant today. The servers didn't even have to set up the tables at the back. We had a slow day. Today is Saturday. We're going to stay home and watch television. We are not going to leave the house at all. We are having a slow day. All right, and this is it for today, guys. Have a good rest of the week, and I'll see you in the next course because this course is over. Take care.